Most men believe they understand women. They see her smile, they hear her laughter, they notice the way she tilts her head or glances away when she's thinking, and they assume they know what it means. But what they're seeing is only the surface. Behind every polite response and every calm expression is a much deeper emotional world. A world built from thoughts, imagination, curiosity, and unspoken longing. A world she rarely shows anyone. Right now, you're looking at the version of her that's meant for the public. The version that knows how to behave, how to appear composed, how to fit in. But attraction is not born there. It's born in the private space behind her eyes, where emotions move freely and imagination runs without limits. That hidden world is where she wonders, where she feels, where she silently reacts to the way you speak, pause, listen, and carry yourself. Most men never step into that space. They try harder, they talk more, they chase attention, and they still feel invisible. But the men who understand that her real self lives beneath the smile, they don't chase. They create presence. And when you learn how to connect with the emotional world behind her eyes, everything about attraction begins to change. Every woman carries two versions of herself. One is the version the world sees. Calm, polite, reasonable, put together. The other lives quietly beneath the surface. It's made of emotion, imagination, curiosity, and desire. This is the version that feels deeply, dreams freely, and reacts to things she never says out loud. Most men only ever interact with the first version. They talk to the polite version, they date the composed version, they try to impress the mask, but attraction doesn't live there. Real attraction lives in the second version, the one that responds to emotional energy, not logical arguments, the one that feels tension, curiosity, and connection far more strongly than words. That's why sometimes she pulls closer without explaining why. That's why she becomes distant even when nothing is wrong. That's why she reacts emotionally instead of rationally. She isn't confused. She's responding to what she feels. When a man is predictable, overly agreeable, or constantly trying to please, that deeper side of her slowly goes quiet. There's nothing for her emotions to react to. But when a man has calm confidence, emotional awareness, and a little mystery, something changes. Her curiosity wakes up. Her imagination starts working. And suddenly she feels drawn without knowing exactly why. Because now you're not just talking to her. You're reaching the part of her that actually feels. Women spend much of their lives being careful. Careful how they speak. Careful how they are judged. Careful how they are perceived by the world around them. Because of this, a quiet, emotional pressure builds inside. A need to relax, to feel safe, to stop performing for a moment. That's why emotional vulnerability is so powerful. Not weakness, not insecurity, but emotional openness paired with strength. When a woman senses that a man is calm, grounded, and emotionally steady, something inside her softens. She doesn't feel like she has to guard herself. She doesn't feel like she has to pretend. And that's when real connection begins. This is also why being overly logical or emotionally distant pushes her away. It makes her feel unseen. But a man who can listen without rushing, who stays present without trying to fix everything, who allows her to express herself without judgment, that man becomes magnetic because he creates emotional safety. And emotional safety gives her permission to feel deeply. When she feels safe, her curiosity opens. Her imagination grows and attraction quietly starts to build. Not because you impressed her, but because you allowed her to be herself. Most men believe women only want to be led, but that's only half the truth. Deep inside, many women also want to feel emotionally powerful. They want to influence the moment, shape the energy, and see how a man responds when the dynamic shifts. That's why she teases. That's why she challenges. That's why she sometimes pulls back for no clear reason. She isn't being difficult. She's exploring emotional tension. When she changes her tone, asks unexpected questions, or suddenly becomes quiet, she's watching how you react, not because she wants conflict, but because she wants to feel something. If a man becomes defensive, needy, or tries to explain himself, the tension disappears. But when a man stays calm, grounded, and emotionally steady, something interesting happens. The tension becomes exciting because now she's interacting with someone who isn't thrown off by her emotions, someone who can handle depth without losing control. And that creates attraction, not dominance, not control, but emotional strength. The ability to stay present, confident, and relaxed while the emotional current moves around you. That's what makes her feel safe enough to lean in and curious enough to keep engaging. Attraction doesn't grow in routine, it grows in curiosity. When everything about a man is obvious, predictable, and easily explained, her imagination goes quiet. There's nothing for her mind to explore. But when there's a little mystery, something changes. A pause before you speak. A calm silence. A look that lingers just long enough. These small moments create emotional tension, and emotional tension is what wakes up attraction. Her mind begins to wonder. Her curiosity starts filling in the blanks. Her attention shifts toward you without her even trying. This doesn't mean being cold or distant. It means not rushing to reveal everything. It means being comfortable with space. When a man doesn't over-explain, doesn't chase, and doesn't try to force connection, he feels grounded. And grounded energy feels strong. That strength invites her closer because now she isn't being overwhelmed. She's being drawn. The unknown gives her something to feel, something to imagine, something to lean into. And that quiet pull is far more powerful than any line you could ever say. More than anything else, a woman wants to feel understood. Not complimented, not impressed, but truly seen. She wants someone who notices the way her mood shifts, the way her energy changes, and the things she doesn't say out loud. Someone who understands her beyond words. This is why surface-level conversation rarely creates real attraction. Talking about work, hobbies, or plans is fine. But what pulls her closer is when a man responds to how she feels, not just what she says. When you notice that she's nervous, when you sense that she's excited, when you recognize when she's holding something back, that awareness makes her feel safe and valued. And when she feels emotionally seen, something powerful happens. Her guard lowers, her curiosity opens, her connection deepens. She no longer feels like she has to perform or impress. She feels like she can simply be. That's what makes a man unforgettable. Not what he owns, not what he shows, but the way he understands. Most dating advice teaches men how to perform. Say this, text that, act this way. But attraction doesn't come from performance. It comes from emotional connection. A woman doesn't fall for a script. She falls for how she feels when she's with you. You can say all the right things and still feel invisible if there's no emotional presence behind them. That's why trying too hard often backfires. It feels forced. It feels unnatural. Women are incredibly sensitive to emotional energy. They notice tension, confidence, uncertainty, and calm far more than words. A man who is relaxed, self-assured, and emotionally grounded creates a feeling that no technique ever could. That feeling is what makes her lean in. Because when she feels safe and stimulated at the same time, attraction grows naturally. No tricks, no manipulation, just connection. That's why ordinary advice fails. It focuses on what to do instead of how to be. The men women remember aren't the ones who try the hardest. They're the ones who stay the most present. They listen without interrupting. They speak without needing approval. They move through conversation with calm confidence. They don't rush to prove anything because they know who they are. That inner stability creates a powerful emotional effect. It makes a woman feel both safe and intrigued at the same time. Safe enough to open up, intrigued enough to stay interested. These men don't chase attention. They allow connection to grow. They observe her emotions. They respond to her energy. They stay grounded no matter what direction the moment moves. That's why women keep thinking about them after the conversation ends. Not because of what was said, but because of how it felt. Presence creates memory, and memory creates desire. When you learn to stay calm, confident, and emotionally aware, you stop blending in. You start standing out without forcing anything at all. Every woman you meet is more than what she shows. Behind every smile is emotion. Behind every pause is thought. Behind every look is imagination. Most men never notice these layers. They stay focused on words, actions, and appearances. But attraction is born in what's felt, not what's said. When you learn to sense her emotional world, to notice the subtle shifts in her energy, and to stay calm and present through it all, you become different. You stop being just another option. You become someone she feels connected to, and that changes everything. So here's something to think about. The next time you're talking to a woman, ask yourself this. Are you listening to her words, or are you feeling her emotions? Because the men who understand the difference are the ones women never forget. If this opened your eyes, make sure to like, subscribe, and share this with someone who needs to see the deeper side of connection. Most men never learn this. Now you have